There are films you hear about only in whispers, titles that sound like urban legends, reels said to be so shocking that even film festivals slammed their doors shut. One of them was called Sweet Movie, and the name was a dare. Sweet or something else entirely? In the mid-1970s, this one film detonated across Europe, making censors, critics, and even its own financiers panic. What was hiding inside this candy-coated nightmare, and why were governments so desperate to lock it away? Stay with us, because the story of Sweet Movie is stranger than any rumor you've heard. The man behind the provocation was Yugoslav director Dušan Makavejev. Already famous for WR, Mysteries of the Organism, he had fled increasing political pressure at home. In 1974, he landed in France and Canada with an idea to make a satirical musical, a surreal political cartoon about capitalism, communism, and sexual hypocrisy. The budget was cobbled together from international backers. The cast mixed rising stars like Carole Loure, radical actors like Pierre Clémenty, and even non-actors pulled from activist circles. Everything about the production signaled risk: cross-border funding, experimental narrative, performers with no fear of controversy. What started as a bold art project would soon become a lightning rod for censors on two continents. The first narrative follows Miss Mon 1984/Miss Canada, who wins a contest of the most virgin. Her prize is the marriage to a milk industry tycoon. However, following his degrading, puritanical introduction to enter her, she vents her intention to leave to her mother-in-law who, at that point, nearly has her killed. The family bodyguard takes her away, further humiliates her, and finally packs her in a trunk bound for Paris. She finds herself on the Eiffel Tower, where she absently meets and has intercourse with a Latin singer, El Macho. The sexual act is interrupted by touring nuns who frighten the lovers into penis captivus. In her post-coital shock state, she is adopted into an artist community led by Otto Mühl, where she finds affectionate care. The commune practices some liberating sessions, where a member, with the assistance of the others, goes through a rebirth experience, cries, urinates, and defecates like a baby, while the others are cleaning and pampering him. Later, she is seen acting for a television advertisement in which she is naked, covered in liquid chocolate, striking seductive poses, and finally drowned in the chocolate. The second narrative involves a woman, Anna Planeta, piloting a candy-filled boat in the canals of Amsterdam with a large papier-mâché head of Karl Marx on the prow. She picks up the hitchhiking sailor Potemkin, a reference to the 1925 Soviet film Battleship Potemkin. Though she warns him that if he falls in love, she will kill him, he ignores her warnings for him to leave, and their relationship evolves. In the state of lovemaking, she stabs him to death in their nidus made of sugar. She then seduces children into her world of sweets and revolution, eventually getting arrested by the Dutch police, who lay down plastic sacks containing the children's bodies on the side of the canal, implying they too have been murdered by Planeta. The film ends with the children, unseen by the others, being reborn from their plastic cocoons. When Sweet Movie premiered in 1974, the reaction was immediate and explosive. In Canada, screenings were shut down, prints seized, distributors threatened. In Britain, the BBFC refused certification outright for decades. Even in France and Germany, where art house cinema was king, the film played only in tiny venues or private clubs to avoid obscenity charges. Makavejev himself was effectively exiled from Yugoslavia for years, accused of smuggling subversion under the guise of art. Newspapers called it the filthiest film ever financed by public money. Religious groups picketed. Politicians demanded prosecutions. All of this only fed the legend. The more they tried to bury it, the more people wanted to know what was inside this mysterious, sweet movie. Looking back today, Sweet Movie sits alongside Pasolini's Salo, John Waters' Pink Flamingos, and Makaveyev's own WR as one of the defining works of transgressive 1970s cinema. Scholars now argue that its most disturbing scenes were staged as political theater, Brechtian tactics designed to force the audience to confront hidden truths about consumerism, fascism, and sexual politics. Criterion and boutique labels have restored it, not as titillation, but as historical evidence of a moment when cinema itself became a battleground over freedom of expression. Love it or hate it, you can't erase its impact. Even its title is now ironic shorthand for the film that went too far. Sweet Movie proved that an art film could ignite a censorship firestorm just as intense as any exploitation flick. Banned, butchered, and whispered about for decades, it remains a daring monument to artistic provocation. If you're fascinated by the hidden history of banned and censored films, the movies governments didn't want you to see, subscribe and follow. We're traveling deeper into the vaults, one forbidden title at a time.